Hi, guys. Welcome back to another fabulous episode of the Balanced Boss Mom podcast. I'm your host, Erika, and today I wanted to do a solo episode in regards to the year for 2026. So let's get started. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been walking alongside of me for a while now, I want to take the time to say thank you for watching my podcast on YouTube. Thank you for listening on Spotify and Apple. Just thank you for listening overall. And thank you for allowing me to give you guys the space to kind of like slow it down, take a deep breath, speak on the truth, and just pretty much talk about what it really means to be a woman in this time, in this age, in this demographic. And it's also about not only that, but being human and about being coming of yourself. So that's where, in reference to this title for this episode, Welcome to 2026, where this season is calling you back to you. And with this episode, it's not something that is special. It's not something that's flashy. It's not something that it's a bold prediction for 2026, or just promising that it's going to be a new you. But because this episode is an invitation, I want to welcome 2026, not the version of 2026, because for me, the version of 2026 is a place where we can re-identify ourselves, come back to ourselves, be whatever we want to be for 2026. Make that vision board. Take the time to make a prayer board. I took the time to make my own vision board, which I have now uploaded on my Instagram. So if you take the time to go to my Instagram and look at the vision board, you will see the details that I'm drawing into myself. But before we go any further, I want to take the time to say, if you're going through something really difficult before or after the holidays or during the holidays or anything that has come upon the holidays that's been difficult, take a pause, take a break, take a moment for yourself, because I want you to take a breath or breathe with me. All right, so we've done that. And now that we have taken that moment, I'm going to do another one in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, if you're listening while driving or doing laundry, nursing your child, or just sitting in a quiet moment, you barely got anything done this morning. Trust me, did the same thing. My morning started this very early. And if you're just getting started for today, you're exactly where you need to be. So without further ado, I want to continue this podcast episode and just say that this is not going to be a high energy, hustle filled kickoff to the new year. But this is just a reminder that just stay gentle, stay humble, stay grounded. This is actually my first solo episode of the year where I am trying to get out there more with you guys seeing my face. Because if I'm being honest with you, I'm scared. I'm scared how the reaction is going to be in reference to seeing my face. Because this podcast has always been about honesty, I'm taking that leap and I'm taking that jump and I'm taking that faith that you see me and you hear me. A lot of us didn't walk into this new year feeling refreshed. For me, 2025 ended on a very, I don't want to say challenging note, but it ended on a note where I was not expecting anything at the end of 2025 to happen. 2025 had ended for me where it was a new beginning coming. New things were starting to come, and now they're not. And I'm dealing with it, but it's going to fruition into 2026, thing more honest and powerful. That's my little taking note on 2025. But past few years have asked so much of me, and I feel like it also has required asking so much of you emotionally, mentally, physically, especially as moms. Again, we wear all the different type of hats. We're the mom, the daughter, the sister, the friend, the nurse, the lawyer, we wear so many hats that we need to start pouring into ourselves and getting back into you. So one of the things I am doing is, if I feel like something is not aligned with me, or if I feel like something is too much overbearing, I am now going to take that step back and just say, it just doesn't serve me no purpose. And if people don't like that, that is okay. And that's a reminder that it is okay to just say, no, I don't want to do this, or no, I need to take a moment. So, and we don't always have to be in a flight or fight mode or that survival mode. I feel like for 2020, we can really just be our authentic selves. And we as moms continue to learn that we always have to be in these survival seasons, and we're never imagining the possibility of just letting that survival mode go and kind of just figuring out what's the next step to take. We often held or hold our families together while trying to not lose ourselves. And I think that's something that's very hard to do. It stretches the limit because we end up adapting, pivoting, we end up saying it's okay when it really is not okay. And we always often keep going. And like I said, when I wrote this note to myself for 2026 and I thought about the title, I had to go back and reflect on what did I do in 2025 and what was there to show for 2025. And now with 2026, I'm kind of trying to break that mold, break that layer of now things need to change and adapt and move forward. So if you didn't start this year with the vision board, like I stated, or that routine that you were going to say at 5 a.m., or just perfectly mapped out a plan, don't worry. We still have 11 more months to go. It's 365 days. These days are moving, and you're not failing. You're just being human, and you're being a mom. And it's okay. Even dads, like for all the dads out there, you guys often never get a shout out. And I just want to say, from a mom myself, it's okay to not be okay as a dad. It's okay to say, hey, I need to take a moment. It doesn't make you feel weak or less than from what a mom is going through. So my personal shout out to you dads. If you're a single dad, or if you're a dad just really struggling in 2026, just like as moms, or just like as any woman, or just as any guy, take that moment to take and reflect for yourself as well. Again, as I stated, the season isn't asking you to become someone new. Maybe it's just asking you to just return something back to yourself, back to who you already are. And I keep coming back to that phrase, coming back to you. I keep coming that. What does that mean? What does that identify as? What does coming back to you absolutely mean? And for me, I would have to say coming back to you mentally is making sure your mental state is okay, making sure you're checking in with your friends, making sure you're checking in with yourself. If this is not too much, what way to go? Coming back to yourself would have to be physically. For me, 2026, I'm going back to the drawing board of getting myself physically back into health, like a health mode. And I've always said, yeah, I'm going to get back into, doing the walking, doing the running, doing the Pilates. I've taken the initiative to go ahead and start walking first thing in the morning, start my walk off. That's how it starts for me, preparing myself physically, and it prepares for me mentally to know it's going to be a long day. I want to be able to be healthy. So that's what I'm doing for 2025. Maybe for you, it's doing that Pilates class. First time, so what? You mess up. It's okay. So we did mentally, we did physically, emotionally. For 2026, I'm taking the initiative to kind of start journaling and looking for a therapist. And being in therapy is not, you're not flexing on anybody, but you're getting back to yourself. And that's okay. Physically, mentally, emotionally, all these things we just need to take more of. And that's okay. It's okay to take a pause. It's okay to take that break. And that's what I'm doing. Hell, if you don't like what I have to say, delete me, remove me. It's okay. And I'm going to learn that it's okay. There's a million people in this world, and not everybody's going to like what you have to say. And when you take that break, it's going to feel like you're taking chapters of that break and that pause in between. And when that does happen, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever that break may be, maybe it's today, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's 2 weeks from now, maybe it's 4 months from today. I want you to stand in the mirror and finally say, 2026 is about me. 2026 is about having fun. 2026 is about letting go. 2026 is maybe about personal challenges. Let it go. Let it go. What's the worst that's going to happen? Do that podcast Do that book. Do whatever makes you happy. Just do it. Let it go. See, for me, again, I'm doing a solo episode. Am I terrified? Absolutely terrified because I don't really show my face. But I'm taking a leap this year and just saying, you know what? I'm going to do one solo episode, one guest episode at a time. In between weeks, in between the months. And so many of us really do spend the time living in a reaction mode. And what I mean about reaction mode is something that my grandmother has really taught me is stop existing and start living. And it's been in my mind a lot lately about stop existing and start living, because now, fast forward, I see my daughter growing up and I see the things that I see when I was a kid. And I see the challenging moments where I'm like, okay, I see it in her. And she's like a lens that has opened up a camera into my life of how I was a kid. And I'm going back to stop existing and start living, because now that I'm older and understand a little bit more, I want to live for the better and challenge myself a lot more. I didn't think I was going to challenge myself to the point where it made me scared, it made me terrified. It made me stop asking questions to myself like, how am I really doing? How am I really doing? Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I mad? Am I living? Am I existing? I feel like, again, it's going back into that reaction and survival mode sometimes, where we are existing. We're existing because we're dealing with a lot of hard truths that maybe just are beneath the surface, and we've got to get to the bottom of it. I know I'm thinking that for myself. I'm sure you might be thinking that for yourself too. And we have to stop honoring our own needs, because someone else always might feel more urgent than what you might feel. And don't take that the wrong way. I'm just saying someone else might feel that you're that friend that answered the phone at 2 a.m. and now you're changing it to where you're like, I don't even like being on the phone. Or you're at a dinner and you're with a group of friends and somebody says something to make that reaction, and now you're learning to unreact. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to react. And so we often learn how to show up for everyone else. And I think for 2026, we need to learn how to show up for ourselves. Give back to yourself. Get back to that writing or that reading. Like I said, take that Pilates class. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to hurt you. And so this season, this year, I honestly feel that 2026 is really different for me. I hope that for 2026 is different for me, for you. It feels different because as a person that is like a little bit in tune with themselves, I look at all the time like number signs or letter signs or something. So it's a sign that says something is going to go in the direction. And I feel like it's going to be different with one, getting out there solely and trying to figure out what route to take with the podcast. I've learned that having guests on the podcast has been so fun for me and so rewarding, which is so cool to learn different backgrounds. But taking that step and taking that leap and being scared feels different for me with this new year. And it's not because it's going to make my life any easier or make your life any easier, but I hope that 2026 is different for you, because I see myself changing. I see myself evolving in this season, in this year. I see another layer of myself that I'm never seeing flash before me, where I'm like, oh, I know it's happening. And this season is calling us back to our bodies, physically, mentally, socially, back to listening instead of pushing the limit and saying, all right, we're going to do that overtime today. And because you see that check, you got to do the overtime. Your body is going to start reacting and say, you don't have to see that. You don't have to do the overtime. Back to resting without guilt. I have been so learning about, so reflecting. I don't want to say learning, reflecting about rest without guilt. Because last year for 2025, I just kept going. And this year, I'm like, I'm taking that nap once I get off, or I am going to take that nap during all the chaos. And it's okay to take that nap with all the chaos that's going on. My challenge for you is if you need to have that rest, don't feel guilty about having the rest. Don't feel guilty about seeking a nap. It's not that bad. And also for 2026, it's back to honoring what feels heavy instead of pretending that we're fine. And I'm learning that for 2026. And it's only been 8 days. I know. But for 2026, I am starting to learn and take notes for myself and say, Erika, you're not okay. You're just not okay. You're laughing, you're smiling, you're happy, but you're not okay today. And that's okay. That's okay not to be okay. It's okay to not be okay. And I think we need to break that stigma of pretending that we're fine when we're not fine. And that's something big. That's something that I'm frustrated with myself, where I'm like, when somebody asks, hey, Erika, how are you doing? I'm fine. When really deep down, I want to be like, only you knew what I was going through. And you also need to say that too. If only you knew what I was going through, I'm not okay. And we need to stop pretending that we're okay when we're not okay. When it comes to motherhood, it changes our bodies. It changes our bodies in ways people don't talk about enough. It changes our bodies when birth changes you. It changes our body when healing hasn't happened to you yet. It changes your body when stress comes into your life and you start doing this flight or fight mode. And it also hinders you when trauma lives in your body and burning out lives in your body. And so for so long, I feel like we typically override the burning out. We override the stress. We override the healing. We override the birth. We override the trauma. And I feel like those words need to just be erased and put more positivity. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am happy. I am blessed. Remove the stress that's in my body. Continue to heal my body when I can't even heal myself. Continue to teach me how to heal. Continue to teach me how to grow. Continue to teach me how to let go of the burnout and when to know when that rest happens. And we push through it, we ignore it, but coming back to you honestly and truthfully means, for me, how to listen again, how to come back into that full circle again. And it means when we're exhausted, we need to recognize it and notice it. When we're being fed with BS in our lives, it's not being weak, but erase it out of our minds. Truthfully, I feel like coming back to you, again, like I said, requires the listening, but it's requiring the understanding that rest is not rewarded. We shouldn't have to look at rest as a reward. We should look at rest as giving it the opportunity to listen to our bodies. And this season is also calling us back to our voices, where somewhere along the way, we're often quiet. We're suffering in silence. We don't need to suffer in silence anymore. For me, I'm not suffering in silence anymore. I'm not going to do it for 2026. I'm going to stand up and say, hey, that was wrong. Hey, that's unfortunate, but you got to listen and be truthful with yourself. And we often stay quiet to keep peace. Sometimes peace is a good thing. Sometimes peace is also not rewarded, but peace is deserved. And we often say yes to when we actually mean no. Start saying no. I can't go to that dinner. I'm sorry, I'm tired. No, I'm not going to answer that phone. I'll call you back. No, I'm not walking the dog. You can walk the dog for a change. We need to stop saying yes to obligations when we know for a fact it's a no. It's just a no. And I'm not saying to soften our truths so we don't make others uncomfortable as well in 2026. I'm saying we use our voice in a more polite approach and a more loving approach. And like I said, If any of my friends hear this, I love you. You have been my rock. You have been my turning point. You have been, for the friends that have been out there, really have been saying, take the moment, take the breath. And I just want to take that time to give my friends a shout out. For my family, I love you guys dearly. You've also been my rock. You've also seen the silence in me. And I know you often see the downplay of certain things and learning that I'm trying to be a little bit more vocal. And I love you. And I want to know that thank you for also being my rock as well. But one of the things, after giving my little shout outs to my family and my friends, love you guys, I want to leave something with this. Something that is powerful about being a woman is we often have a great voice to have. A woman can say, this doesn't work for me, or a woman can say, this does work for me. A woman can ask for help without apologizing. That is something that I am working on. And I'm working on always stop saying sorry at the end of, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Sorry, didn't mean to do this. Sorry. I'm working on now trying to change that. And I'm the type of person where I don't like asking for help at all. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't like asking for help, but I understand that sometimes help without apologizing, saying that sorry, or asking for help is okay. So if you are like me, where you don't like to ask for help, because I sure don't like asking for help, 26, it's okay to ask for that help. Another thing, a woman who doesn't shrink her needs to fit into spaces. We as women right now in this time are getting so shut down with, you can't be in this room, you can't be in this office, you can't be in this topic of conversation. And I feel that in 2026, that should change. I feel like that women are beautiful, smart, amazing, perfect in their own way. I feel like women should take the opportunity to get into more rooms, get into more spaces that make people uncomfortable, because if they're uncomfortable, then you've done your job. And women also, we need to start in 2026. If people don't like the spaces that we fit in, let's continue to create those spaces for ourselves. For anyone that feels that it's going to deteriorate them from any motive, continue to create those spaces. And with that, coming back to your voice, it doesn't mean about being loud, being boisterous, or being like stuck up. You don't have to be that to use your voice, but it means becoming more honest with yourself. And honesty is a form of self-respect. So this season is also calling us to back our visions. Some dreams were put on hold while you were surviving, and that's okay. Some desires were buried under responsibilities, and some goals changed shape because you change. And it's okay that you've changed in the beginning of this season. I know it's only 8 days into 2026. And you ain't gonna change overnight. But change is a good thing. And it's not a version of our visions that tie to pressure or comparison, but it's something that we need to feel more aligned with. It doesn't mean that you fail, it means that you grew. It doesn't mean that you fail or fall behind. You really are becoming in your own season. And that's something I want you to carry. I want you to take that note, take heed, and carry with you into this year. For me, as I stated earlier, as we step into this new season for the Balanced Boss Mom podcast, I want you to know exactly where this space is coming from, where this space continues to hold, where this space continues to grow, where this space continues to lead. This podcast will remain a place where we're talking about real things. I'm unlayering so many things this season. You guys are going to be like, what? If only I knew what she was going through, and only if you knew what you were going through. We need to have these messy conversations. We need to have the healing between these conversations. And it's also about rebuilding these conversations. Also in the podcast, we'll talk about motherhood, of course. Honestly, that's never going to go away, but we're going to talk about not glamorizing the burnout. Now, we talked a little bit about it in 2025 about the burnout, but I want to get to the part of not glamorizing it anymore. Mental health has been something that's been very important to me. Whether you're a mom or a dad, we need to talk about mental health more. We need to do it without making somebody else feel guilty. We need to do it without making someone else feel shame. We need to figure out when we see somebody going through something and you could see it on their face or you could see it in their body, talk to them. Ask them how their day was going. You never know what somebody is going through. I've always been taught that. When you're going through something and you ask somebody how their day is, you make their day 10 times better than what it was already 5 minutes ago. We'll talk about ambition without sacrificing ourselves in the process. That's going to happen. You'll hear conversations about identity, especially identity shifts. I don't want to talk about identity shifts as a mom. I want to talk about identity shifts as a whole, as an individual, as a woman, or as a man. You know, in this season, you're going to hear more stories about healing, birth experiences. I want to get into the loss of those birth experiences. Again, we're touching on burnout. And you'll hear voices that reflect real life conversations in this podcast, not just highlight reels, not just those 5 seconds that you see on TikTok and everybody, the celebrity modes. You're not going to hear that. It's honestly going to be a real conversation based. And you'll hear more from me. I hope for 2026, you'll hear more solo episodes. You'll hear more reflections. I hope you hear more reminders in each episode that you're not alone in what you're feeling, because balance isn't about doing everything. Rome wasn't built in a day. We ain't perfect. And balance is about adjusting and listening, choosing yourself for once. And this year, I'm not interested in helping you doing more. I'm not interested in doing less. I'm interested in helping you feel more back into yourself, what aligns with yourself. So let me ask you something, and you don't have to answer it right now. You don't have to seek to find the answer, but what parts of you have been asking for attention? Not the fixing, not the approving, just 5 minutes of somebody's time. What would it look like to move through this year gently? It's not about being lazy. It's not about aimlessly. And it's not about being hard on yourself, but just requiring the steps of being gentle with yourself. Answer those questions for me. You know, we see so many things there are with the strengths in being soft. It's okay to be soft. There is clarity in slowing down and taking that moment to heal. I understand that. And I'm starting to, like I said, starting to learn that more in 2026. And there is wisdom in honoring where you are instead of forcing it where you think you should be. Like I said, in this podcast, I took the time to create this message because this is something that I've been pondering on 8 days, you know? And if 2026 has a message, I believe the message would be, don't rush in becoming. Don't rush into thinking that you have to do the podcast overnight. Don't rush into thinking you have to be a YouTube content creator overnight. Allow yourself to do the research about being a YouTube creator. Do the research about being a podcaster. Do the research of learning how to sew. Hey, I'm taking the initiative on my vision board to learn how to sew. Take the time to heal. Take the time to rest. Take your time to have peace. Take your time to have the look into your dreams and your goals. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. You don't even have to prove anything to me. But it's about remembering who you are, remembering where you are at in this moment, and hopefully by the end of the year, what you would see that you've accomplished. So if this year is calling back to yourself, I hope you walk this journey with me. I hope you open up that journal to that first page. And yes, of course, it's day 8 of 365 days in that journal, but it's day 1 to start with that journal for yourself. Note in that journal right here in this space on the Balanced Boss Mom that you're becoming, you're fulfilled, you're happy, and you're loved with the message that I'm going to leave. I want to thank you for being here with me this morning, and thank you for listening. Thank you for choosing yourself, even in the smallest ways, whether it's going to get that cup of coffee, whether it's watching that new show that you having out, whether it's having a movie night with your kids. As I stated always, ambition meets motherhood. I'll see you next time in the next episode, which my first guest will be coming on, which her name is Andrea. So this is going to be a back-to-back episode where you get the first episode of the 2026 version of me. And then you're going to hear Andrea's episode on Friday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And where you can follow the podcast is, like I stated, Spotify is where we're streaming on, Apple is where we're streaming on, Amazon Music if you have time, Pandora, and iHeartRadio. Also, you can go to the website of balancedbossmompodcast.com where you can see the podcast and you can actually go to that link. Also, I am on YouTube as well. So if you see this episode or you hear it or you watch it, please, I would love for you to leave a review on the episode. I would love to hear your feedback. You can also follow me on the Balanced Boss Mom podcast Facebook group. I'm also on TikTok and I am also on Instagram. So let's start this journey and let's start this ride together in 2026. What else is going to happen? Rome wasn't built in a day. Somebody says no, or you cut off the podcast. Like I stated, until next time, this is going to be a wild 2026 for me, I'm sure. And it's going to be an amazing 2026 for you. Love on somebody, love on your child, give somebody that hug, tell them I love you, whether it's a text message, email, write it in the sky. But 2026, we are here for the ride and I'm so excited and I can't wait for you guys to see what this podcast is going to hold. Bye guys.